Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos we have the privilege of reading Parshas Bo. In Parshas Bo, it speaks about the last three of the plagues of the Makos. The middle one of the last three, the next to the last one actually, of all the 10 Makos, is the plague of Choshech. And when it talks about the plague of Choshech, the Pasuk says that Vayoma Hashem al Moshe, Hashem says to Moshe, Netei yodcha al hashamayim, stretch out your hand towards the heaven, v'yihi choshech al eretz Mitzrayim, and there will be darkness on the land of Egypt, v'yamesh choshech, and the darkness will be able to be touched, be able to be felt. And the Medrash says that the darkness was so thick that you could actually feel it. In fact, it goes so far as to say the thickness was the thickness of a coin known as a dinar. The Torah Tamima, so beautifully, in his commentary on the Pasuk, says, the Medrash says that when a Jew would walk into the house of a non-Jew, he would be able to see, while the non-Jew would not be able to see. And that the darkness lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Consequently, it means that the sun didn't rise. The Torah Tamima asks a very important question. We know that in Parshas Noach, Hashem promised after the flood that Yom v'layla lo yishboso. There will never again come a time in the world where there won't be day and night, because there's always going to be sun. How is it possible that the Jew was able to walk around and see, and the Egyptian was able to see, if the sun didn't shine? And the answer is that the sun did shine. It's just that the Egyptians could not see. Why? Why couldn't they see? So the Torah Tamima says the darkness was not a darkness that came from the atmosphere, that God didn't shine the sun. That's not what happened. The sun was shining as usual. But the Egyptians had a physical impediment to be able to see. Their eyes were incapable of seeing the light. Something blocked their eyes. Says the Torah Tamima, Lulei b'stafina. If I wasn't afraid to be mechadish, to say a new interpretation, this is what I would say. I would say their eyes were covered with a darkness that didn't allow them to see. So even though physically they had sun, and the sun should have enabled them to see, but physically, because they had a blockage in front of their optic nerve or in front of their eye in some way, they were incapable of seeing. That comment of the Torah Tamima gives us an understanding of why is it that when it comes to the truth of the Torah, it's so easy to see for anyone who opens one's eyes. It's backed up by 3,300 odd years of direct line tradition over and over again in the words and the prophecies which have come true over and over again. And we see that the prophecies of the existence of the Jewish people, the unique, miraculous nature of birth, of life, of sight, of everything, is so awesome that it's clear and points to the nature of the existence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all aspects, both historical, physical, emotional, spiritual, of the existence of Hashem, and Paro, who refused to acknowledge it, and the Egyptians who refused to acknowledge it. It wasn't because it wasn't obvious and the sun wasn't shining. It was there. But they had a vision problem. And the vision problem that they had was not just a physical vision problem. It was a spiritual one. They refused to see. They couldn't see the light, even though it was shining bright, because they refused to see it. And they were enveloped in their own spiritual and emotional darkness. And this did not allow them to see. The Jew was able to see, but the non-Jew was not able to see. And therefore, it's crucial to understand that the nature had nothing to do with the sun not shining. It had to do with the inner core of what the Egyptians wanted to see. You want to see it? Hashem is everywhere. You don't want to see it? You'll be blind and you will never see it, because it's a matter of whether you want to see what is obvious and how true the obvious is. What a great idea when talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim, the going out of the darkness, which led to the destruction of the Egyptian people, was because of their own spiritual blindness. Let's open our eyes and see the truth and become close to Hashem by seeing how He is with us always, under any and all circumstances. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the one and only. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom, Umevarach.